I'm Julie.
Hola!
And I'm Lauren.
And this is Dwelling on It.
Welcome to our first episode of Dwelling on It,
Where we share our tipsy tips and tricks of the trade.
and some DIY and behind the scenes.
Kind of a little bit of everything that we do. But today's format, we decided we wanted to kind of sit down and do a Q&A because we really get a lot of the same questions, whether it be in person, in our sessions, a lot of advice sessions. Obviously it's advice, so we get a lot of the same questions. Styling sessions, social media, people write into you all the time with questions. So we thought, okay, let's just do a whole episode where we sit and just answer questions. So that's what today's gonna be. We'll see how this goes.
So we have a few, just some of the most popular questions that come in, especially over the last couple of weeks where we've had some before and afters of some clients that you've finished up. So one of the most popular questions, I think, is curtains.
Okay.
People wanting to know what are your pet peeves, what they need to look for in terms of sizes.
Okay. So yes, we do talk about curtains actually a lot. My biggest pet peeve with curtains, I would say, is when I walk into a room and someone heard the first part of the advice. They watched the design shows or whatever, and they said, oh, I'm supposed to hang my curtains up as high as I can because it's going to heighten the room. It's going to increase the height. The eye is going to go up.
Right.
They forgot, though, that eventually my eye's going to go down. In fact, mine goes down first. And if it's about this far off the floor, or even this far off the floor, I see that so fast, and I'm like, oh, we've got high water curtains.
Mm-hmm. I know what that is.
You know how I feel about those high water curtains. She knows because
I do now.
I'm not going to out her in public. She does now. She knows it's an opportunity to learn. So you always want your curtains to touch the floor. If you had to go one way or the other, meaning I'm not going to buy custom curtains, I'm not there right now in my life, I want to buy the standard. They're usually 84. They're going to be 96, and they're going to be 108. Sometimes you're going to get a 120, but most of the time those are your three, usual suspects. So if you're going to buy an 84-inch curtain, you don't have a lot of space. That's going to be right at your window most of the time. Obviously, everybody's window varies in their house, so I can't give you a straightforward answer here. It is true, though, that the higher we go, the eye is going to go up, so you're going to get a longer curtain. But some people have a wonky window, and it falls in a space where it's either going to pool in the floor, or it's going to be too high. And for whatever reason, most people choose the other, and they go too short. So if you had to do one or the other, let it pool. There's also a lovely little tip called hemming tape. You don't even have to send them to a seamstress. You do not have to be able to sew. Just use some hemming tape. It irons on. It folds them up, and they can just touch the floor. But I have had curtains in my own house just pool a little bit in the floor. That's okay. Think of it as pants. A little bit of a baggy pant look. We're not rolling curtains up. We're not doing, what are those things? Clam diggers?
Clam diggers?
People call them clam diggers. I call them high water pants. High water curtains. Anyway.
Gotcha.
Now,
so no on the high water
So
curtains.
no high water curtains. Also, if you can, do go up. Now, sometimes you're going to have a crown molding and then your window frame. And if you're kind of caught in between, split the middle if you can. You don't want to be up into your crown if you can help it. So there are cases where it's such a chunky crown and there's your window frame, so you are right at the window, and that's okay. Another thing about curtains that is yet another pet peeve of mine is when people hang the ends, the brackets, right at the end of the window. So your bracket, if you think about a curtain sliding, is where it stops and falls down. So if you hang that right at your window, well, now your curtain panel, it's covering the window, the light that you want coming in. You want it light and bright and airy. When you need to shut them, fine. But what we do is go 6 to 8 inches outside the frame of the window so that the panels themselves, there we go, hang, ooh, just bonked the hell out of her head. Are you okay, girl? My elbow clocked. Are you okay? She good. Anyway, so if it's 6 to 8 inches outside, then you've got your finial capping. You want that bracket, because some people will put the bracket too far in, then they let the pole go out with their finial cap, and they don't realize my curtain's not going to come any farther. So you want that whole bracket to be as far, 6 to 8 out, then your finial, and then your panel's going to hang, and you do want it to cover the trim of the window. Because you don't want it so far out that now it's obvious there's this little window and here are our curtains.
Right.
You want it to cover the trim and also what's outside of that. So that you get as much of that actual window pane light coming in. That is beautiful, that is perfect. And it also makes it look larger.
Yeah.
Makes the window behind it, we don't know where that's stopping, so it looks like a bigger window.
Okay.
So those are my two, I would say, go-to, tips. Tipsy tips.
So move on to the next question, which is another popular question.
Okay.
What about rugs? So any pet peeves with that? I know a lot of people have questions about what size they need for a certain room. Does the furniture go on the rug? Does it go off the rug? Tell us about that.
Yes.
Yes. All of the yeses.
Yes. Carry on now.
Okay.
Next one.
Third question.
Yes, I do have pet peeves about rugs. More often than not, I would say I go into a space and there is this tiny little rug with this big old room. It just screams. I mean, like a 5x7, a 6x9 in this. Now, obviously, that's appropriate if you have a small living space. But in these larger, great rooms, it's in front of the furniture, and then you have a coffee table or an ottoman on it, and it's like, and then all this wood, No. So we really do want it to cover the area of the space. Kind of a rule of thumb, first of all rules are meant to be broken. There are no hard and fast rules about this stuff. It's really an artful eye and kind of just knowing what looks right. But a general rule of thumb would be about a foot, 15, 18 inches off the wall. I like a foot to 15. There are times though I go only 6 to 8 inches off the wall of the entire perimeter. So we definitely 100% want at least the front end of your furniture on that rug.
Okay.
Preferably the whole thing is on it. This rug in this room, my front is on this rug. It wasn't quite big enough for the back, and that's okay. It's still covering the area of the room. But ideally, I do prefer that all of the furniture be on it. But you also don't want to get a rug, and now you've gone the other direction, and you're like, okay, well, she said to put all the furniture on the rug, and so now we've got our furniture all squeezed, and there's all this room. We do love to float furniture. That's good. We'll probably cover that in another episode. But you don't want to be so far in that now it's like we're in a huddle, you know? We want to use the space appropriately, but get a big rug. You can buy affordable rugs, so much so that you should not be having to
compromise on the
appropriate size. Like, oh, let me go small because it's cheaper. Okay, there are plenty of cheap rugs out there that are large enough for you to get it right. And I think more often than not, it's not really a price thing. It's just a I didn't know thing. Also, people hear sizes. It never fails. And they're like, I thought that would be really big. Measure.
Yeah.
Measure your space. I measure
done that.
Every home I'm in. I measure. And I have a very good idea. Like, it's probably going to be a 9x12 in here. Right. Maybe it's going to be a 10x14. Or maybe we're going to need to go bigger. But measure, measure it out. Even if you need to, use painter's tape. I say this all the time. Tape out 9x12 on your floor. Put your furniture where it goes. And live with that a couple days and see. Do we like this? Does this feel right? What do you think? Yeah. So size on the rugs, where to put our furniture on the rugs. Another area that I'll quickly add, in the dining room, or the kitchen, whatever, under your table, if you're going to have a rug, I would say the rule of thumb there, because obviously all of our sizes, or our table sizes are very different, you want to make sure that while seated, everybody is on the rug. Okay? So you don't want to get a rug that just covers everybody's chairs tucked in. Now the second you go to sit and you scoot off, now you've come off the rug and you go to scoot yourself up.
And then you're caught.
And yes, you're catching the end of it. No, like please, whatever the size of your table, make sure that when you pull out all the chairs all the way around, they're on that rug. whether that be a 2-foot clearance all the way around, a 3-foot clearance all the way around.
So when you measure at home before you order your rug, make sure you pull out all the chairs.
Pull out your chairs. Sit down. Don't pull out your chair and then scoot up and go, okay, I think we can make it. Because you scooted on it. You don't want to fall off and come back. Make sure you have clearance all the way around.
Okay.
And if your table is so big that, well, I can't get that size rug because, you know, the room's too small. Okay, well, that's telling you that the scale of your table is also probably too large, okay? Maybe you have too many
Back
leaves.
to square one.
Yes, let's bring that in a little bit so that we can, again, scale.
Yeah.
That's a tough one to cover in a question, but yeah.
Okay. All right, here's another very popular question, and everybody has this obsessive compulsion with throw pillows. You know, when we go to Home Goods and Target and West Elm and Pottery Barn and all the places, we want all the pillows. So how many pillows is too many pillows?
You can never have too many pillows. Don't tell my husband.
And also, what about sizes? Like, for people that interchange, like, the pillow covers, how do we do that?
Okay.
Let's start with, how many is too many?
Well, I do believe that you can never have too many. I do really love pillows. My husband can attest to that, and he hates them. And he says that,
I don't think there's any husband that loves
I know.
a throw pillow.
Why do they? And they're like, you throw it on the floor. Duh. It says throw pillow, so you chuck it. And if you have kids, well, we all know where those go, in the fort. So, you know, it depends on your sofa size. So obviously there is no one size fits all with that, because if you have a big L sectional versus like a little settee, well, we can't fit the same amount of pillows. But, you know, let's pretend we have an L. Then I would like to see 2 on each end cap and maybe 3 in the L crease with a throw blanket. Say you have a sectional with a chaise. Again, with the chaise end, maybe do 3 and 2 on the other side. What I would say I see most often is actually too few, or
the matchy.
The matchy and the lineup. They'll go like like
all
4
the way
across the back.
yeah.
It's like, no, we're not doing that. We're gonna layer our pillows.
Yeah.
So that's where the size comes in.
Okay.
You want various sizes. So if you have a super low profile back, I wouldn't go all the way up to 24 inches, but more often than not, we do a 24 inch on the back, then maybe a 22 and a 20. If it's too big to do 24, and you'd have to pick one up and see, maybe we do a 22, a 20, and an 18. I don't love anything much smaller than an 18. Well, I do like a lumbar. I love a lumbar, but I mean,
I love a
lumbar. I love a good lumbar. As Bo would say, my son. You love a good everything, Mom. Because I literally say that all the time. I love a good fill in blank. I do love a good lumbar. So sometimes, back to that, maybe we do 2 on one end, and then we do a big middle lumbar. You know, we play with this, we layer.
Yeah.
With pillows, it's all about texture. So we layer different textures, some prints. I don't like them to be too samesies. When we buy a sofa that is like a
showroom.
Yes. Often it comes with like 2 or 3 of that same fabric pillows, right? So use the inserts to those pillows. You know, they don't have to totally go to waste, but no, let's liven this up a little bit. We don't have to just, no, I'm not into that.
No.
So just take those out. But yes, it is nice. Now, obviously, they are a little bit more costly when you buy like a pillow cover versus an already stuffed pillow. I will say, though, that they keep their shape better.
Yeah.
You know, and you can change them out. You can wash them if you have pets, if you have kids. That's really helpful. And then one other rule of thumb that I always tell my clients is when you buy a pillow cover, whatever that size is, please buy 1 to 2 inches larger than that insert, than that cover. So say it's an 18 by 18 inch pillow cover, we're going to buy a 20 inch insert. And that is so that that cover is full. It is nice and full.
It's not slouchy.
Yes. So obviously most people see that they got an 18 by 18 inch
so
cover. They go buy an 18 by 8, you know, that's common sense for you right there. They get an 18 by 18, they put it in, and it's like limp
slouchy and sad.
Sad pillow. Awful. Yes. So we do not need sad pillows. We do not need saggy, droopy, I was about to say sacks up in here.
That's another show.
Get your head out of the gutter. But anyways, we want them full. And then I like a good chop. You don't have to do down, especially if you're, more on the vegan side or if you're allergic. You can get, they make synthetic down. It doesn't have to be lumpy, like just stuffing either, They make down alternative, I guess is what one call it. But it does have that same feel and it works well. So in closing on this question, we're layering sizes, okay? 24, 22, 20, or 22, 20, 18. Save your 16s for like outside. They're just like,
yeah.
Or like a tiny little side chair.
Let's not piss off our husbands anymore.
Yes. And then, a lumbar is great for chairs like this. I have one behind us right now. This is just a little holiday vibe, but normally it's just a lumbar. Mm-hmm. And then also for lumbars, I will add one more thing. Always measure your chairs. That is huge. Mm. I do this, I spend a lot of time making sure my inside to inside measurement of a chair will accommodate the lumbar that I've got, or vice versa, right? Because often we can't tell, in shopping how, and so you get, or if you're ordering online, you get this tiny little thing or this like oversized thing for a bed, and it's not going to fit. So just simple inside to inside measurements, and then make sure that you're getting the appropriate size lumbar. So oftentimes when it's curtains, when it's rugs, when it's pillows, measure. Okay? Don't be lazy. Just get out your measure.
Okay, so I always feel like this is a huge problem for me. I have an issue with hanging art correctly.
Yes, you do.
I have all the holes behind all the things.
All the tries.
Take one,
take two, take seven. Mm-hmm. Take the art down, and it's like, let's see how many
we just put it back up once we get the good
cover
one.
That. Mm-hmm.
So what's the deal there? Like what is the rule of thumb for hanging artwork properly?
Well, the rule of thumb is to measure. And to be a smart ass.
Yes.
To measure, but no. Yes, but no. So, it's easy for me to say, right, measure, and then people are like, okay, yeah, but measure what, right? Now, obviously, there's so many different types of the back of art, right? We've got the teeth, we've got the side, we've got the wire, and there's
doubles are the worst.
Ugh, they're the worst. However, they don't shift. So they're the worst to hang, but once they are hung, they don't move. If you have a single, then it goes, and it's like, and you walk around the house all the time like, little trick. Tipsy tip for that is the gummy, it looks truly like gum. What do you call that stuff? It's like for tacking things on the wall, like on a bulletin board. What is this stuff called? It's like tacky putty, maybe?
Putty.
You have just a single nail or whatever, and so it starts to say this is often in gallery walls or walls that have like a door near it, slams it, and it or near the stairs. The kids run up and down, and over time you look and things are just like, I swear those were straight, and they're crooked. So put that putty on the back of all four corners. That's the other technical term. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And it will stay. It's lovely. This is not instead of your nail or your screw. Like, I don't mean that it will keep it up there. It's just an extra little, But let's get back to the actual question. Art. Ooh. So, the number one thing that I see with art is that people hang their art way too high. I come into houses all the time and their art is just oddly just high. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they were just sort of guesstimating and holding it up, and because they were holding it up and they weren't stepping back and they just weren't
there asking,
they weren't sure, like, this will do, I don't know. The other thing, when I sometimes point out, okay, well, this art's a little bit high, we need to bring this down, the number one response that I've heard over the years is, oh yeah, that's just because the nail was there. And I'm always a little like, wait, well, art though is often hung, like I said, too high. Mm-hmm. It's often on an old nail. Let's not do that, okay? Because even if it was the right spot for their art, it doesn't mean it's the right spot for this size art. Yeah. Like, they're all different. So what you really want, art, mirrors, all the like, you want them to be eye level. So if you were to ever walk into an art gallery, you're not going to crane your neck up and look at a piece of art up high. It's always right at your eye level. They want you to take in this entire piece. So whether you get your art at an art gallery or you get your art at Home Goods, take in the piece, let it be what it is. Be a pretty addition to your space. And so it should be eye level. And now most people go, okay, so what, I eyeball it?
Yeah.
Exactly. So some people can eyeball it and they're like, all right, that's my eye level. But the easiest way to figure that out is that the average human is 58 to 60 inches from the floor to the center of the piece. What that says is my eyes are at 58 to 60. So for me personally, I'm at 59, I think. And so what I do is take a measuring tape, stick it under your toes, pull it up, look straight at it, and you're like, oh, that's where my eye level is. Mine lands at about 59. If you have a super tall family, okay, maybe you're a little higher. If you're a super short family, a little bit lower, whatever. But you just want it to be a comfortable eye lever. So the average Joe is 58 to 60. That's a safe zone to be. Now, again, you're not going to go 58 to 60 inches, make a mark, and put your nail there. Now your art's going to be crazy low if the hanger is on the back or at the top. So you want to make that your midpoint, and then you're going to measure from there, halfway up, so on and so forth. We have a whole episode on hanging, so I won't get into that.
Just watch that.
But basically it's about measure, eye level. Same with a mirror. Who wants to be peeking at their forehead at the bottom of the mirror because they hung it too high, right? You want to see in the middle of the mirror the person. The only time that I'm cool with mirrors being like crazy high is say like we're in a stairwell and it's like up high and then we have this really expansive mirror and it's basically reflecting a space back to you so that it looks just huge, right? And that's not about your reflection. It's about the reflection of maybe a piece of art or a space. Yes. But in general, art needs to be eye level. It wasn't quick and dirty at all. It wasn't. Nothing with me is quick and dirty.
All right, so our last question. So in our living room, we have a coffee table.
Okay.
And we want to hang a light over our coffee table. Okay. What is the general standard of hanging a light over a piece of furniture? And I know there's different scenarios, but let's start with coffee table.
Okay, so we'll say, actually for the sake of time, I guess, coffee table, desk, a bed, even a dining table, like a space that you will not be walking
through.
Exactly. You can hang it lower. And so we have a little bit more flexibility there. And so it depends on the space, it depends on the height of the room, and it depends on the thing that it's hanging over. So I'm not going to say exactly 36 inches. Right. Now tables, like islands and dining tables, I do like a 30 to... I'm more of a 30 to 33 incher. I like it kind of low. Not so low I can't see the person across from me. Of course, we need that clearance. But I don't like my lights so high that it's not part of that vignette. If you think of everything, yes, we talk about vignettes as like on a shelf, this little vignette, but a room can be a vignette. A table and the chairs and the light, that's a moment, right? Let's see it as a whole instead of just now and this light's so high. That was a really pretty light that you purchased, but it's all the way up at the ceiling.
Yeah.
That sucks. Sorry, but it does. So let's bring it down so we can see it. So in your question, so over, an ottoman, we don't have to walk under it. So now we don't have to deal with a clearance. The only clearance that we really want to make sure that we have in the opposite instance, foyers, the center of a room where we are going to walk, we want a 7-foot clearance.
Okay.
So we want to make sure we can walk under that. Obviously, you're going to always have your one off. Well, my husband's 7'5". I don't know who you are, and that's amazing. Maybe he's in the NBA or something. Otherwise, most people are not 7'5", and so you can do a 7-foot and know that we're good. Even a 6'8" man, even that's a tall guy, a high guy. He's high. A 6'9", that's tall.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a 6'9" husband, okay, sure, let's bump it up a little bit. You don't want him to kind of be like, it's right here. But otherwise, my gosh, we don't even need to go down that avenue. Most people are not that tall, so the average, all these things are just averages, right? The general rule. There are always exceptions to every rule, but the general rules, we want a 7-foot clearance. We can walk under it. We don't have to feel like we're going to bump our head, but we can see it. So dimmers, though. You mentioned lights, and it just made me think of dimmers. You always, if your lights are not already on a dimmer, if you own an older home, it's not a difficult switch to get switched out to just a dimmer switch. have them dimmable. Oh my gosh, how many times, are you in a situation at night, you need some lighting, and it's just
too much. Yeah.
so much. You're just toasting, and everybody's like, I need some shades, and then, or it's like you cannot get it bright enough. So not only dimmers, not only height, right? But there's also the size thing. This isn't even what I was going to go into, so I won't go into it too far. But you just don't want to get like the wrong, again, it's all about scale and measuring. I think people underestimate the size of their lighting, and so more often than not, it's just this sort of lost little light in a space, whether it be in, like you said, over your ottoman or coffee table, over islands. It's just tiny, It can be bigger than that. Let's have a wow moment. Let's pick out a really beautiful light that's not this builder grade, just like an
afterthought. Like you want it to be
make it a focus of the room instead of just this it's just such an opportunity. Yeah. I won't even go into fans, but fans. We have fans in all of these family rooms. Now, certain people run hot. Certain people, their house is so hot and they need it. But more often than not, we don't need this fan, but people think, I'm supposed to have a fan in my family room. They think it's the family room. It's no, it's the family. I like to see lights that are a bit of a statement, right? Now, there are going to be times, of course, I always have to just make sure there's that one time you understand. But anyway, there will be times where something else is the focal point of the room, and so we can have understated lights, sure. But more often than not, I feel like people really miss the boat on an opportunity for an amazing light. Whether it be, I don't even need to rattle off the list, over the pendant, over the pendants, oh my God, over the island, in the foyer, in the family, whatever it is, there's a moment there for a wow piece. And I always say that lighting and paint are the two fastest and probably most affordable ways to instantly change the vibe of your space. And so when you are missing out entirely on this opportunity because you just have these willy-nilly builder grade lights in your house, you just don't even realize how drastically this could feel.
Yeah.
It just instantly
makes a big difference.
Huge difference. So we've talked about dimmer switches. We want to be able to, dim it, whatever. Size, it does matter. We don't want these, again, sometimes we will find an artfully tiny, understated light that is so cool. Most of the time, those small lights are just sort of boring, right? I feel like in my brain right now I'm thinking about, over an island. Just so often I see these just me, and it's like, but we can do so much better than this.
So, what'd you think of the questions?
I thought they were great. Keep them coming. Whether you DM us on Instagram, Facebook. You can send to, what's your email again?
info@bricatodesign.com.
That one. But just send all your burning design questions. What are you dwelling on this week?
Here's to Tipsy Tricks.
Tipsy Tricks? Or Tipsy Tips? It's Tipsy Tips.
I don't know. We'll have to rewind and check
Tricks of the trade. Cheers. Cheers, friend. Okay.
Cheers, friend.
Okay! Tipsy tips and tricks of the trade, and I have to say it in a weird voice or it won't come out right. Okay.
Welcome to...
What were you doing? You're like, welcome! Sit still! I can't! Beep. 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 And I'm burping up salad. And by salad, I mean cabernet. Okay, fix your cards so that you're so like hostess with the mostest, but where's that last card?
the anklet.
You always do that one.
I feel like this